Hello, everyone. Happy New Year's and welcome to the first episode of 2025 of Super Subs Podcast. Your host, Harish, is back. It's been a while, guys. And per usual, we have Narvin as well.
Happy New Year, guys.
Yes, sir. Um, so today, uh, this segment will be around, um, since we're almost through halfway through the season and the January transfer windows coming up. Uh, we'll go through each Premier League team and discuss an ideal, like who is the top player each team should get, and they can benefit either for this year or moving forward. Who would be the best signing? Um, we try to keep it realistic as possible, um, but there might be multiple options. We can talk through those as well for each team. Um, But yeah, Narv, where do you want to start? Do you want to start like towards the top of the table first, or do you want to start maybe with the bottom tables or bottom of the table and kind of work our way up?
We can do start from the bottom. Start from the
Okay.
bottom. Yeah, let's do
And
that.
then yeah, I'll skip some teams because I want to save those for the ends. I think those will be a little more fun, but
Okay.
all right, so we'll start with Southampton.
hmm
Uh who's the one player that you think they need to sign? Or yeah, a player that could be a good signing.
Um, for this one, it was hard, but I actually didn't have a player. Just because I really can't see who would fit in this squad. It's probably I said it a few times, but probably the worst Premier League side I've seen. But I did instead just go with the manager, just because I couldn't think of like a player. Um,
Interesting. Okay, what manager?
so I just said they should go after Graham Potter.
Ooh,
Um,
that's a good shout.
just because he's been vacant since leaving y'all for so long. And we've seen him kind of build up that Swansea team before getting that move to Brighton, and then he kind of set the foundation for De Zerbi and now for Hertzler. So I think he'd be a good fit for him.
Yeah, it seems like Brighton's kind of a shoe-in team to be stay up in the Premier League, like moving forward,
hmm
thanks to Graham Potter. Yeah, that's a good shout. With that manager, they definitely need desperately to change that locker room.
Yeah.
Because they have some pretty decent names if you think about it. Um,
And I feel like it's relatively still pretty young.
hmm for sure. So I followed our rules and tried to pick a player. I like the creativity you played there. But Southampton, they definitely need some upgrades across multiple positions, but the one I think that really needs an upgrade is the striker position. Uh, they've scored only 12 goals this year in their 19 games. It's pretty poor. Uh, defensively, they're also pretty leaky, but it's not the worst. And it's also because they make a lot of errors playing through the back and just the way that um, what was his name? The Russell Martin. The way
Mhm.
he wanted to play out of the back, they just made a lot of errors. So if they can cut that back, I think defensively they can improve easily. But attack, I think the one player that could help is Callum Wilson. He's a very experienced striker. The reason I chose him, I'm a big fan of his game. Uh, but I don't really see him having meaningful minutes at Newcastle anymore. Uh, Newcastle's got a lot of attacking options, and I do think they're going to go out in the market and probably try to upgrade from Callum Wilson in the winter. So I think he would be a good fit and a player that can make instant impact and also add experience.
Yeah, especially with what he did in that Bournemouth team.
He carried them.
But I think the only risk there is like the injury, um,
That's true.
a little bit injury prone. But I like that shout.
I think he would come in and kind of be an instant starter too.
Which is kind of weird though, because like when they were in the championship, like that Adam Armstrong guy, he went off.
Hmm.
But yeah, Premier League's a different level. So
And then I think the left side they could probably improve the winger, but Dibbling they definitely need to keep him.
yeah, at all costs. So
Yeah, he's been what the one bright spot.
hmm
All right, now if we want to move on to um, Leicester, uh, who would you have on
I
as your
had
Leicester transfer?
I actually had two players on here. Um, one I had as a loan, but um, I think a permanent transfer that they should get is oh man, I'm blanking on how to say his first name, but Menji played at Luton last
Mm,
year. Um, Luton, they're doing quite poor in the championship this season, sitting in 20th. So I think like they're obviously not in position to get promoted to the Premier League. And I think Menji was a bright spot for Luton last year, and I thought would be a player that a lot of teams would kind of sought after his season, even if it's just as a backup. But I think he'd be a good fit for Leicester. And then I also think they need to freshen up the midfield slightly, just because Harry Winks and Oliver Skip, I feel like, are slightly similar profiles. And I think they could loan. Chelsea have so many players where I think
hmm
they should try to get back Dewsbury Hall on loan.
Ooh, that's a good shout. Yeah, I didn't think about, Dewsbury Hall going back to Leicester. I was kind of in the same wavelength as you with the first one. Center back definitely needs an upgrade.
hmm
Um, Menji's a good shout, especially in the Premier League. He was pretty decent. Um, but I think he's hurt until April, I think.
Yeah.
But still, that might be a good longer term signing. But I also went with a center back, and again, I went with someone who has a lot of experience and can possibly try to help them stay up from relegation. I
hmm
went with Johnny Evans
Oh,
uh,
yeah, I like
because I
that
mean
shout.
Leicester. Yeah, I mean you pointed out they've had pretty poor defending, and the pairing has been inconsistent as well. And I think Johnny Evans is an upgrade from what they currently have, surprisingly, even though
Yeah.
how old he is.
He'd be quite cheap also, just 'cause he's kind of on his last legs.
Yeah, and I don't think Amarin really has plans for him to keep him. I don't know. Have
I
you
don't think
noticed that?
he's kind of like, thank God, but kind of in an emergency, like a,
Mm.
um, yeah, but that was kind of the hard thing about thinking about the transfers for the bottom teams is like you kind of have to think about their budget. Um,
hmm
whereas top teams you can kind of really go for
Anyone? Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that we both were thinking the same wavelength with kind of a center
Center
back there.
yeah, well
Yeah.
Foss, yeah. Not a fan of his.
No. So now we can move on to Ipswich, who are sitting in 18th. I can go first here. I think, I don't know, I kind of like a lot of the players Ipswich has, or like they've been improving week over week, I think, slowly. I think they do need to grab a few more goals, maybe just have a little more attacking options. They rely so much on the lap to create,
hmm
and he's a beast. So I don't think they should definitely try to keep him. But I think someone who can come in and help him out is a key signing to make. So I went with a forward to not necessarily come in and be like a starter necessarily, but be a backup for Delap and relieve him sometimes instead of putting so much pressure on him. So I went with Danny Ings
Oh,
uh,
I like that shout.
because I mean, he's a quality player, but he's at the bottom of the pecking order for West Ham.
hmm
Uh, but again, he has a lot of experience. He's a quality player, so I think he would be good. Delap would still definitely start, but Ings would come in and kind of relieve some of that pressure for him.
I'm
And then,
surprised Ings hasn't gotten much playing time for West Ham this season, especially the last few weeks with Antonio being out.
yeah, and then Fulkrug also had some. stretches of injuries, but
Hmm.
uh, he's definitely a quality player that should get some playing time.
It would just look weird if Ings ever moves to another team that's not Clareton colors.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, he's always played in those colors. Um, but yeah, Ings or another player I was thinking. There's been a lot of hype around him for a couple years now, and it might be time for him to come up. So another striker that could play under Delap is Haji, right?
Ah, yeah.
Um,
Especially because Coventry's kind of struggling
yeah,
to their
exactly.
standards.
So this might be a way for him to come up to the Premier League, and a lot of fans. I haven't really watched his game too much. The only game was really, was it the Carabao Cup that y'all played?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game. And he looked solid. So
Even in the what's that like North American tournament? Like the CONCACAF,
Concacaf, yeah.
he got called up and he looked pretty good. Um, but Ipswich, I think they had the luxury where if they do get relegated, they'll come right back up with like all the
Yeah,
signings they've made.
agreed.
Um,
Especially if they can keep the lap too.
yeah, that's gonna be a key one to keep though.
Hmm.
Although I was a fan of like the backup who hasn't really seen much time either, but that George Hurst kid.
Mm, yep.
Um, for Ipswich, the player that I have uh, recommended for him is actually another player I recommended for another team. So I think there's two teams that should fight for this player, but um, the player I have is Carney Chukwuemeka from Chelsea.
Ooh.
Um, I think for Ipswich, I think they should do anything to get him on loan at least for this year. Um, because I think if he comes to Ipswich, he'll just bring a different quality level of quality to him. Um, and to your point, they kind of need a little boost in the attack, and I think he can really work well with Hutchinson and Delap.
Do you
And
think Hutchinson is because he kind of plays in the same position? Do you think they instead of I think they typically play like two holding mids. Do you think they go with just one with like Morsi?
yeah, I think they'll just have to go with one, or they've kind of been having Hutchinson play like a center attacking mid role last few games. But I think if they get Carney Chukwuemeka, they might just slide Hutchinson back out wide and then Carney kind of playing right under Delap.
Okay. Yeah. Because Hutchinson's definitely comfortable playing out wide.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like that shot. I didn't even think about Chukwuemeka.
I feel like Chelsea have a lot of players like they can kind of offload and recoup money on.
Mhm. From a Chelsea supporter perspective, though, I definitely would prefer him going out on like a loan versus actually selling him because he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think so too. He's one player I think I don't know why he's not getting the opportunity this year.
All right. Next, if we want to move to Wolverhampton, I'll go first again here. My transfer, I think they need to target a center back. They can upgrade there.
Great minds think alike, man.
So the one center back here, I think they don't necessarily need someone like a Johnny Evans, but probably someone younger, but still a quality player. I think Eric Garcia at Barca. Um,
That'd be a crazy pull.
yeah, Wolves, I feel like they have the ability to get a player like that. Is he Spanish or Portuguese?
I think he's Spanish.
Spanish. Oh, okay. Um, but I mean, Wolves definitely need to improve their back line. Dawson is old, and Garcia is also getting struggling to get playing time at Barca. But I mean, he has experience in the Premier League with Pep, um, and he actually got a good amount of playing time. So I think he would definitely come in, make an instant impact for Wolves. I think he would definitely be an upgrade from like Dawson, um, and even uh, that Totti guy. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of him. He seems
Yeah.
very immobile.
And that other guy who like he was kind of a freak, like freaky stuff.
Mascara.
Yeah,
Yeah.
out on injury. I know he was like a newer signing, but I still wasn't really moved by him when he did play.
He was a very aggressive player, but I think Eric Garcia, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Totti's game, but I think Eric Garcia would pair up nice with one of them because he's got more of a finesse to his game and technical
Hmm.
passing abilities. The other two guys are like very identical profiles
Yeah.
with like their aggressive nature.
Um, for this one, I also went with a center back. Um, and Eric Garcia, he's a good shout because of what you just mentioned right there, like with his finesse, and
Hmm.
technical capabilities. Because I went with the center back who's capable of playing out the back, but he's also has more of that aggression um in his locker. But uh Diamande from Sporting, um
Mm.
this is a player I'm a huge fan of, and he's been a player developed by Amarin at Sporting, but I think he's like the up and coming center back, still 21. And he's I think Wolves, they sometimes play with the back three pretty much sometimes because Aït-Nouri and Semedo push so high. Um, so he's definitely capable of playing there. So I think that'd be a good signing for Wolves.
And he's pretty young too,
Hmm.
only like 21.
Exactly.
All right. Now, if we want to move on to the next team, working our way up, we'll go to Everton. Um, I'll go first here again. I know we wanted to try to be somewhat realistic. I don't know if this one is realistic or not.
Wait, before you shout out the name, can I guess the position?
Yeah.
Is it a right back?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Um, I went with a right mid.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, I know they have Harrison, but uh, I don't know. I think Everton just need a more natural right footer, whereas Jack Harrison's he's left footed, no?
Yeah, and he always
Like,
likes to cut in like
yeah, I don't know. And the way they play, where they like to serve like in the box, I think Tim Weah is a quality player that can upgrade Everton there. Again, I know we want realistic, but he probably won't want to go to Everton. He'd probably be on like a loan to Everton, but I mean, they were interested in getting him last year or this past summer, and they were very close to a deal, but he rejected it at the end of the day. Um, he didn't want to move over to Everton, but I think this would benefit both parties because Tim Weah is kind of struggling to find playing time, and especially the right side of Juventus, they're pretty stacked. So he comes on for like 20-minute spells and stuff, but I think he's a much better player that deserves more playing time.
Mhm.
And I think Everton would definitely benefit from like a more natural right-footed player.
Oh yeah, he would elevate that squad.
Hmm.
I feel like a loan would be realistic because what Juventus are sitting like sixth. Um, so like if they miss out on Champions League, I don't think he would mind at least for like a season going to play out on loan. Just get more playing time.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think Conceição's got that right side kind of unlocked right now
Deservedly, yeah.
for Juventus. Yeah, and then that guy Cambiaso also is he looks pretty good on
Hmm.
the right side.
Yeah, Everton, that's a good shout. I thought Everton, they kind of had two positions that were more of a emergency type signing they needed just because of like the age. One was right back, but I think that Patterson guy, he can fill in there at times.
I will say right back was when I thought Everton probably would be like the number one need,
Hmm.
but I couldn't think of a right back on market that would be like a
Reason
reasonable.
exactly.
It was
Um,
hard.
but I think they also need a center mid that can play um in the role for Idrissa Gana Gueye because he's getting up there in age. I think he's like 35, 36. But I have a player, I think he was very immature when he first was in the Premier League, but got shipped off to Serie A, and he's really matured and been kind of a key player for him. But I had Matteo Guendouzi from Lazio.
Ooh. Yeah, I haven't watched Lazio much, but it seems like he's a key player in that squad.
Yeah, so I think it's realistic, but Lazio, they've been having a really good season, so I think they're in that Champions League spot, and I think if they hold on to that position, I don't know. I feel like they might want to hold on to him, but I think he's a player Everton should really go after.
Yeah, I mean, even when he was in Arsenal, he surprisingly featured a lot at such a young age too.
Yeah, he just kind of had those moments where couldn't keep his cool,
Hmm.
sporadic moments too, but I think he's uh really found himself when he went to Serie A. So
And even when he was at Arsenal, they were a struggling team, but he would always like games here and there, he would kind of be one of the more decent players on the pitch.
oh yeah, for sure. And I think when he was at Arsenal, he was only like 19, 20. So
Jeez. It's tough to come in to Emirates like
hmm
that in that type of atmosphere.
exactly.
All right. Next, we'll move into Crystal Palace. Um, do you want to go first on this one?
Uh yeah, let me go first. I had two players. One is a permanent, one's a loan. But for the permanent transfer, I had Josh Maja from West Brom. Um, I don't know. I feel like Mateta. Uh, I can't tell. He's compared to last season. This year, he's kind of had a dip. Um, and then I forget is Nketiah on loan or is he
Mm,
permanent?
I think he's on loan.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think Mateta is the guy you can really rely on to bag all the goals. But then a player I have on loan, um, we have to make space from our team and from the sites that happened on Monday. I think playing in that role with Eze, like that pocket, go out there and develop is going to be Josh Xerxes.
Mm.
I think they could try to get him on loan because he's not like that out and out striker that can get you the goals to replace Mateta, but he's at 9.5 where I think he kind of could fit in that Glasner system and hopefully develop with Eze.
Yeah, I think that's where they're struggling the most right now is like that inside forward type role, um, attack-minded midfielders. I mean, defensively, they've actually been somewhat decent, but yeah, on attack, they've really struggled. Um,
Your boy Chalobah's made a difference for him
oh yeah, he
defensively.
shored them up for sure. So I also went with a player similar to Xerxes. I guess he's not an out and out forward necessarily like Xerxes, but he can play that pocket role. I went with Dewsbury Hall from
Okay, nice
Chelsea.
pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't see him having a role in Chelsea's team right now.
you wouldn't mind if it it'd be
If it was
permanent.
permanent,
Yeah,
yeah, wouldn't mind at all.
I didn't realize he's kind of he's not that young.
No, he's not.
I thought he was like under 25 for some reason.
And he was really good at Leicester coming up, like when they got promoted to the Premier
Hmm
League.
Yeah,
One of their better players.
I always forget he's on Chelsea. It's crazy.
All right. Next, if we want to move on, this is one we can skip for now, or if you want to knock it out. But Manchester United,
Oh God, I have a whole list. Uh,
dude, mine's very similar.
you want to do it
Um,
last
be,
just because it's going to take a long time.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, for that one, I think because there's so many positions that need to be upgraded,
Hmm.
um, we could probably talk on like the main positions to upgrade and which players we would select.
Okay,
Um, all right, so moving on then, we'll go to West Ham.
gotcha. Damn, we're below West Ham. Tragic.
Yeah. Y'all are fighting for relegation. I mean, even Amarin said that.
Yeah, we'll get to those talking points later, when we talk about Chelsea and United later on. Um, West Ham, I had uh Demirovic from S Stuttgart. Uh, I'm not saying he's to the level of Harry Kane, but he gives me Harry Kane vibes at times. Like he's actually quite good at linking up play and will he's kind of a workhorse. Like he just doesn't kind of stay up top. He'll work defensively for you. And as I mentioned, like link up plays good, got somewhat pace to him, but I think that's the type of player West Ham will kind of need to look for.
Do you
He's
think
still
they have enough strikers though? Or do you think they just need to upgrade their strikers?
I think they need to upgrade because Fulkrug, he's kind of old. I didn't realize he's quite old.
Hmm.
He was a late bloomer, so and he just hasn't worked out well. Antonio, I think you got to move on from him because this Demirovic guy, he's got the build like Antonio, like he's quite strong and powerful as well. Um, but it's just his link up plays like a whole nother level, and he'll grab you the goals too. Um, but I also do think they need to upgrade the center back role because some reason I don't think Max Kilman's been that good this year. Um, for how impressive he's been the past couple seasons.
Yeah, he's kind of struggled.
Uh, and like his center back partnerships, like Tadibbo's been a little disappointing. So I think Demirovic is the priority, but if they can't snag him, because Stuttgart's in good position at Bundesliga, if they can't get him, then another Chelsea player get you guys some profit. But I think to partner Kilman and strengthen up that defense would be Axel Disasi.
Ooh, that's a good shout. I like Disasi. He's definitely a vibe in the locker room.
Yeah, I know you say that he's like one of the more passionate Chelsea, like loves Chelsea.
Hmm. So I went with kind of an attacking midfielder. Uh, I think striker wise, like Antonio, Ings, Fulkrug, like they're all pretty good. Bowen can sometimes play, like the false. And then winger wise, with like Somerville and Kudus, I think those guys are solid. And then Bowen can, move out wide as well.
Mhm.
But I think an attacking mid, uh, I am not a fan of like that Carlos
Soler?
Soler
No?
guy. No. Do you like his style?
I don't think he's bad. Like I think he gets the job done. I definitely like him when he plays Soler over like Rodriguez and Souček.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's more like a 8 versus like a 10, and sometimes the way Lopetegui has been playing him, it's kind of like a 10 type role.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe because it's like Paquetá also has been kind of on a slump this year, hasn't looked as good. But a player I think would be interesting at West Ham that may uh fill in well at like the false 9 or 10 role would be a player from Brighton who has not seen playing time, but your boy
And CISO?
Enciso.
Ooh.
Just because he was really good at Brighton, and I know you were high on him, and Brighton, I mean, they're solid recruitment, so obviously they see a player in him. And I mean, just look at what Buonate's been doing at Leicester. He's been amazing. So if they can maybe loan him out because they obviously don't have a place for him right now. I think he
That
would be
position's a little stacked at Brighton with Ruter just coming in and then that
exactly.
Ayeri guy too. That's a good shout. That'd be a good upgrade.
Yeah, I think West Ham's really lack like the creativity. going forward. So,
Hmm. I like that shout.
all right. So moving on from West Ham, we'll go into Brentford. Um, I had one player here. I think the main upgrade that they need is the left back position.
You think so? You don't think because I know they had Rico Henry, but he's been out all year.
Nah, even Rico, that Lewis Potter guy's come in and done decent, but I kind of like him more at like the left mid position or like winger uh position, but I'm not a huge fan of the Rico Lewis guy or Rico Henry.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of him. Uh
Okay.
so I think the left back is like I don't know, everywhere else Brentford has not big name players, but like players that like fit well with Thomas Frank and like play really well together. So
Uh-huh.
I don't really see a player that can come in make an instant impact. I don't know. Uh, but left back, I would go with Ben Chilwell. He would come in and
Ooh, I like
he would
that
be like an
pick.
instant starter, I think, for Brentford.
Is he? He's fully fit, right? It's just Chelsea don't need him.
Exactly. Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Enzo just doesn't really doesn't just think he's like good enough, I guess, is the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, I like that pick. Definitely would be a natural left back. Because Potter's, I mean, he's done a good job, but Ben Chilwell would give you that defensive stability too.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest thing. Because Lewis Potter attack wise, he's brilliant, but like Chilwell's pretty good
Hmm.
attacking too. So
Yeah, I like that shout. And I'm sure Chelsea would sell him for like it wouldn't be that expensive for Brentford.
exactly. Yep.
Um, yeah, for Brent,
I,
go
real
ahead.
quick, there were some other. I think there's a lot of left backs on the market that could potentially get some moves this year or this upcoming window. But the reason I went with Chilwell is because it is Brentford. So I think a lot of other of the left backs I was thinking that could be on the market, they'll probably go to a bigger team than Brentford.
Okay. Yeah, when I was doing this, I was having a hard time with left backs. So
Oh, I
that's
have a
weird.
couple more.
Okay. For Brentford, so I thought Rico Henry would be good enough, but I think um again, and to your point also, Brentford was probably one of the teams I had the hardest time with. Um, just because how Thomas Frank has his players set up, like he doesn't need a big name. He kind of just needs a player to come in, kind of gel in with the team. Like you don't need to be a big name, just work for the team. Um, and so I went with a center back because uh, Ben Mee, he's quite old, and Ethan Pinnock, the quite the journey starting from non-league to Premier League. He's getting there in age as well. So the center back I went for is Wilfred Singo from Monaco. Um,
Ooh.
kind of a youngster who I think would fit right in um, on that squad.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good Champions League run so far.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm worried about is he's been having such a good run in that Champions League and Monaco staying up high where I don't know if well, I think Brentford should have funds with selling Ivan Toney, so but I
Yeah.
think he'd be a crazy upgrade for Brentford.
Yeah, again, when I was doing these transfers, I didn't really focus too much on how much funds these teams have available.
Mhm.
Um, because I feel like that would be a little tough to look into all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, all right, so moving on from Brentford, I mean, solid team there. So we can move on to Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur. Um, I'll go first here. The one player or position that needs an upgrade. There's probably a couple, but the biggest one, emergency, ambulance calling, center back, especially with Van de Ven and Romero kind of injuries. Dragusin, I'm somewhat of a fan of him, but in this type of system with Ange, he is not it. I think he's a great defender, but definitely not this type of system where he's not very mobile. But a player that's proved himself in the ca past couple seasons now has been Jonathan Tah
Oh,
from Leverkusen.
Leverkusen.
Uh, he's really showed his worth, and Xavi Alonso's really improved him a ton. And I think Spurs can kind of buy him at a discount because his contract's up in the summer, so he wouldn't be too expensive. So I think when Van de Ven or Romero's out, he would easily slot in there. Uh, because I feel bad for like Archie Gray having to play center back, and then
Mhm.
Jagerson just he can't play in this system. And then, if those players are Van de Ven and Romero are healthy, he can just kind of rotate.
Okay. That's a good shout. You think he would go to Tottenham though? Just because I feel like he's kind of destined for a bigger move than. Not saying Tottenham's a small club, but um,
Hmm. Like maybe a Champions League bound team.
yeah.
That is true. This would be like a slight of a downgrade.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess I could probably go out and get like a younger center back as well. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing is definitely profiling a center back
Hmm.
who's athletic for sure.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Um, so I completely agree with you on needing a center back. So I actually had two positions here. I said first one needs to be a center back, and I went for a player from Barcelona, and
Ooh,
Christensen.
Christensen.
Yeah, just because I think Kuvasi's kind of tied that position, and then with Martinez or Araujo back, I don't think Christensen there'll be a spot for him. Um, but then also I'm just a bit worried because they are quite reliant on Sun. So Christensen was my like. I don't think he's going to cost much money at all for him, because he's a little injury prone as well. But the big signing that I have for Tottenham, just because I think Son with his age and how much Spurs rely on him, I don't even know if they've extended his contract yet, and he's hitting like I think like mid 30s, but uh
Please don't say his name. Is it Marcus Rashford?
no, I think
Okay.
they need to cash in on Matoma.
Ooh,
I think he'd be almost like a like to like replacement. Um,
because they look alike.
nah. He's kind of elevated Brighton, and I think he can do the same with Spurs.
That's a good shout. Yeah, I was thinking that Son would need to be. He's still kind of taking on defenders and looks decent, but Warner comes in and he looks pretty poor.
Hmm.
But Mitoma's definitely proven himself in the Premier League. I
Exactly.
like that. Want to move on next to Brighton. Um, I went with kind of a boring choice here. Again, I kind of trust Brighton's recruiting. Sometimes they just kind of pick players that I haven't even heard of before. Uh, but this defender, they were pretty high on him last in the summer, but um, I don't know why it just didn't work out. But uh, I went with a PSV defender, Oliver Buscagli. They were trying to recruit him, so I had never really watched him before, but I was watching some PSV clips of him, and I really like how he's a pretty strong defender, athletic, um, but he's also really nice going forward. He would pair nice, I think, with Matoma. I could see that, and then I think he would also potentially start over a step. What's his name? Um,
Estupiñán?
Stupian. I
Okay.
think he might start over him. He's just as athletic as him, uh, and got the technical abilities going forward.
Mm.
So Brighton definitely need to kind of shore up their defense. They've been quite leaky.
That's a good shout. This one again, uh, mine's thinking alike defensive wise. Uh, and for this one, I went with the right back because I think Lamptey, he's very attack heavy minded. Defensively, he gets lost in the sauce. And then Joel Veltman, he's the complete opposite. He's very defensive minded, doesn't provide you much in the attack. And this player, I don't think will fit in this kind of new system in the current team he's in. And it pains me to say, but I think Diego Dallo would be a perfect fit at Brighton.
Ooh.
Um, because I he doesn't really like playing on the left side, so I think that right side of that defense for Brighton, he would slide in. I think he'd be a starter right away as well.
Yeah, I think Dallo under Amarin, I don't like him in that wing back role at all. I
Mm-mm.
think if anything, he should be more of like one of the center backs, but then you're also losing some of that quality he has.
Exactly. Yeah. I yeah, it's a tough one for him at United, especially playing on the left side at where
Hmm.
Amarin's been playing him. He just looks so lost. So I think I mean, it's not like Brighton's a downgrade in any matter. I mean, they're sitting top 10, so I think it'd be a good move.
Yeah, I kind of want to see Dallo fight it through though with Amarin, see if he can kind of unlock something in that player.
True. Yeah.
Because I would kind of see Brighton as a downgrade. I don't know, and Brighton also typically haven't gone for like players who have been in the Premier League and experience, but recently with like James Milner they have, Adam Lallana they have recently, so wouldn't be kind of out of the realm. All right, moving on to Aston Villa. I really struggled with this one.
I thought this was the easy pick for me.
Okay, what position would you upgrade?
I think they got to upgrade on that wing back role because Ezri Konsa can't play there. And he's a solid center back. You kind of need him there with Torres, and then so that leaves you with Matty Cash, and I think they can upgrade on him. And
Interesting.
I think the player that I'm gonna recommend, he's very young and very cheap, but I think he'll be very good for him. Is Luis Enrique from Marseille?
Ooh, I haven't really watched Marseille, so I
He's
guess
a
this is our
beast.
first
Yeah.
Serie A or Serie A, first Ligue 1 player in
Mhm.
this conversation.
Yep.
Or I guess we had a defender from Monaco, but yeah, speak on Luis Enrique.
He's he's quite versatile too, so he can play like a right mid role, um, but he can also play a wing back role, which he typically does for Marseille, and he's kind of one of those like never really seems to get tired and can cover so much ground both ways. And then I know it is like the McDonald's league, so like your stats are kind of inflated if you're on a good team in that league, so I don't know how it would translate to the Premier League, but because of his age and how he's performed this year, I think he'd be a good fit for him.
Yeah, my thinking was Matty Cash is maybe good enough to be the right back for the team. Uh, so I really struggled with Villa. Uh, but as I was thinking through, I noticed McGinn's getting kind of older now. Surprisingly, he's still able to play a lot of these games. Um,
Heavily reliant on him too still.
oh, for sure. So I don't know if that can continue. And then and then I'm also thinking it's going to be pretty soon before Morgan Rogers gets a big move.
Mm.
So considering those two factors, I think a potential replacement in that attacking mid type role would be Eze from Palace.
I like that shout.
Uh, I think Eze is getting to the point where he needs to get to a bigger team now when he can. and his stocks are still kind of up, and he's coming in his prime. So I think that move, he's ready for a bigger move here soon.
Yeah, I like that shout. It's hard just when I did this transfer thing, it was hard. Like I try to refrain from doing Premier League to Premier League transfers just because I feel like a lot of teams wouldn't want to strengthen another Premier League side, but
Mm.
he'd be a good fit for Villa.
And then moving on to, I think Fulham is next. Yep. All right. This one I also did another Premier League to Premier League
Hmm.
transfer. Main reason is because I think Anthony Robinson could be due for a move.
Oh, I
Uh,
forgot about that. Dang.
that's one of the left backs I mentioned. Um, so considering he's going to go to a move, I think Wolves are struggling right now for relegation battle. Um, I think they might get relegated this year.
You think so? I hope
I
not.
I think they might. And okay, maybe not, but I'm kind of hoping they do because there's a few players that I kind of want to see on a bigger team.
Yeah, I
And
do
so one
too.
of them is Ait Nuri.
Hmm.
Uh, I would like to see him at Fulham. I think he's got quality. I don't think he's good as Anthony Robinson, but I think he can offer a lot and be a decent replacement.
I think he'd give more service, like attacking wise. Like I think Anthony Robinson's good going forward, but I think
Hmm.
going forward, I think Aitnor's better.
Yeah, I think he's a more technically gifted, but not a knock on Anthony Robinson. I think he's improved a ton.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, so Fulham, this one, yeah, I should have gone with the left back because I think Anthony Robinson will be gone. But uh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. But this was the one where I also thought they should fight for Carney Chukwuemeka, um,
Ooh.
just because there were rumors of Andres Pereira wanting to go to Marseille. He said like he's always wanted to work under a De Zerbi ball, that system. So he's like, we'll see what happens in January. So that's kind of a hint that he wants to leave. So I think if he does, then Chukwuemeka would be a great fit, and I think would start right away as well.
Yeah. Although we're fans of like Smith Rowe, I think he would definitely be an upgrade from him. And
Hmm.
uh, I'm not a huge fan of Pereira, but I think Chukwuemeka's better.
I think so too. Who's next on the
That's a
list?
that was a good shout. Dude, I completely forgot about Kearney. Um, but next is Bournemouth.
Ooh.
Again, I think I just did another so back to back to back Premier League to Premier League transfers.
Uh-huh.
Um, again, I went with the thinking that another left back that might be gone, Kirkes.
Ah, I forgot it. Yeah.
So I went with Ben Chilwell here. Same reasoning as Brentford. They need
Yeah.
to upgrade if he's gone.
That'd be a huge loss. Kirk has.
Hmm.
Um,
If you're a team right now, who would you rather have, Kirkes or Anthony Robinson? Who would you push for if you're, let's say you're United?
Kirk has easy.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
easy, but he has the age on him. Like I think he's only 21, whereas
yeah.
Robinson's pushing like 28.
Hmm. I think if I'm a team like Liverpool, though, we'll get to it, but I think someone like Kirkes, or I'm sorry, someone like Robinson would make a more instant impact and make them even better like that. But Kirkes would be definitely for longer
Um,
term.
exactly. Yeah, I like that pick. Um, so I had uh, who did I have? Wait, what team are we on? Oh, Bournemouth. That's right. Um, so this one is a player who's excelled in the championship. Um, and I don't want him to go to a big team right away just because I don't want him to have like the pressure of like having to make instant impact. But I think Bournemouth is a team we've seen where Areola is really good at developing the players.
Hmm.
Um, like we saw Clivert, he was career was almost done, but Areola kind of revived him, developed him. And so this player, I don't think he'll even start when he gets to Bournemouth. But I think like 2 years time he could play a key role, learning under Ryan Christie and Lewis Cook. But it would be Joe Bellingham.
Ooh, that's a good shout.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams kind of interested in him right now too.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't go to a big team. Like a Premier League, just going up to the Premier League would be a big experience upgrade. But I don't want him to go to like the Liverpool or United just because that'd be like too much pressure. Where if he
Hmm.
sinks, I think that'll do like a lot of harm.
Yeah, I think Jude definitely had more of a spotlight with him on at Dortmund, but
Mhm.
his brother hasn't necessarily.
Yeah.
It's an interesting shout. I didn't even think about that. Um, Next we'll go to surprisingly Man City sitting at sixth.
I had several players for him. Um,
Yeah, I had two. I'll start with the first one. I think maybe having a replacement for Rodri. He's going to be out for a long time. Um, so he's uh his contract's going to be up this coming summer, but so Bayern might be open to listening, but I went with Kimmich. I think Pep would love to work with him again. Key figure, played same role when Pep was there, so he knows him, and
what do you think Pep would do with him? Play him at right back, or you think he'd play him in the?
I think he would play him as like a inverted type role, kind of like what he does with Rico Lewis, but I think he would be an upgrade from Rico Lewis.
Hmm. That'd be
Um,
yeah.
and then probably start with him playing defensive mid,
Hmm.
basically what Rodri plays until Rodri gets back. Then I think he'll play him kind of inverted.
Gotcha.
And then my second player, I think center back needs to be upgraded as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Which one? I think Diaz is solid. Um,
Diaz is solid, but like I don't know. I feel like Akanji's kind of been struggling at times. Stones doesn't really see the pitch much. And especially with like Champions League and stuff, I think just adding some depth would help. So I think a player that's quality and there's been rumors around him for a while is Mark Gahey.
oh, that'd be nice signing.
Hmm.
Okay. Were there any other positions or players you were thinking of? Or
No,
those
Mark
were the two
Gahey's
main.
yeah, he's pretty comfortable on the left side too.
Yeah. That'd be a tough defense to break down, him and Diaz.
Hmm.
Let's see. For City, um I had three options for them, but two are same position, so just them take their pick. But one of them, kind of a similar thinking to you, former City player, and he just hasn't seen the field as much at Juve. Still kind of young, but Douglas Luiz has had that Premier League experience, did pretty well. And then this one, the next one is a longer term replacement for Kevin De Bruyne, but I think they should um, cash out on Florian Wirtz, or if they are scared about their charges, don't have the funds, then bring back another former City player, and Brahim Diaz.
Ooh, yeah, both those attacking options are nice.
Hmm. It's crazy because like City, they've like in the past just been able to pull players just because of like their achievements, but we'll see if they still have the same pull.
Yeah, I think Pep staying definitely helps some of that recruitment, but
Yeah.
I like those two shouts. All right, let's move on to Newcastle. Who'd you have here?
Uh, this one is another McDonald's League player. Um, but they need to upgrade that right wing.
Yep.
And so come back to the Premier League, former United star boy Mason Greenwood.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Who'd you have?
I also had a winger. Uh, I had Nico Williams. He, I know he's says he's committed to Bilbao, but um, Newcastle definitely has the funds now, so I think money can talk. And he would add a huge. I think Green was a great shout too.
Mhm.
So I think either of those guys would be.
Yeah, Nico Williams. He'd be a crazy pickup.
But shout
But
out to Murphy though, dude. Like he gets the job done.
yeah, he's like he Eddie Howe trusts him a lot. Um
hmm Especially over like Amarin, like who or Amarin, Almiron,
oh yeah.
who like had a couple decent seasons and like now he's not even like on the team and Murphy's kind of taken over.
Yeah, he's always like on the stat sheet too, especially these last few games. Um but Nico Williams, can he play on the right or is he kind of a left-sided player?
He's more left-sided, so I think but we've seen like Gordon being
Yeah.
able to move out, so
Mhm. Exactly. That'd be a deadly front three. Jeez.
hmm All right. Moving on to up the Chels, opening a rough patch. Um, I'll go for I was really struggling here.
Oh, I thought this was easy.
Uh,
Barbecue chicken.
really.
Yeah.
Um, I've said Fafana in the past, but another player think might be good is Dortmund man Gittins.
Oh, I like that player.
Because I don't think Ben Chilwell really has a place on this team, so he's been on a lot of my transfer lists so far. So we could definitely use some more depth in the back line, but he's definitely a player that can also be like an attacking
Mhm.
option. Especially with like Reece James, dude, I have no idea kind of what's his future like. So
Was Gittins is he a winger or is he like a wing back type player?
he's more of like a winger, but he can also play left wing back. So he
Gotcha.
mostly plays as like a winger for Dortmund, but
Mhm.
he also has played like as a wing back.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, Especially also because Gusta gets the job done there, but when he does have to play out on the left, he doesn't look as comfy.
Yeah, exactly. So like when Cucurella's been hurt a few times, like
Mhm.
we've had to slot in like Gusto there and then with Saucy right back or
Oh, that's horror.
yeah,
Yeah.
Colwell out left or Reece James out left. So
Chelsea, this one I think I said it for a while, but goalkeeper.
goalkeeper. Yeah.
Uh, I think if y'all get Diego Costa, y'all title charge right there. And then also center back to replace Fofana is Antonio Silva. I think he'd be a big upgrade. But I think just getting Diego Costa would be like
Huge upgrade.
I'd be a Chelsea fan.
I
I wanted him
know
at
you
United
wanted, yeah.
so bad.
Yeah, I don't we're a pretty like solid squad, I think. We don't have many needs, so next is also a team that I was kind of struggling to think about who they really need, I guess, for position wise. Nottingham Forest. I couldn't really think of a position that needed a huge upgrade.
I had one.
All
You
right.
might be shocked.
Who'd you pick?
I have a player that um I think they'll move on from Wood up to no good, unfortunately. Sad days. But I do think this player, he just hasn't worked out, and he was really good when he was at Frankfurt. But Randall Kolo. Um,
Mhm. I have not watched him play at all.
yeah, he really hasn't really been getting the minutes at PSG. Um, he's kind of been phased out. So I think Forest, yeah, it might be a downgrade, but definitely a place he can revive his career. Because at Frankfurt, he was crazy. Where a lot of big teams were after him. And so he has that quality, but I feel like ever since that World Cup, when he missed that game-winning potential game winner, he's just been going downhill from there. Um, So I think he'd be a good signing for Forest. And Forest is already a team like with a full of like rejects like Hudson Odoi, Longa,
Hmm.
Elliot Anderson. So
Oh, that's a good point. It looks like Moani's played what, like 10 games, a lot of it coming onto the sub,
hmm
barely any minutes. Um, Mine again, I couldn't think of a position to upgrade. I guess forward's a decent shout. Um, but I went with a player that's pretty versatile, Ethan Ampadu.
Ooh.
He's got Premier League experience. He's a solid player. I think he can really add depth to. He can play anywhere across the back line, but he can also play like the holding midfield role. So I think he would just add extra depth to the team.
Chelsea product.
Chelsea product. Um, all right. Now we can move on to the next team, which is Arsenal, sitting at second.
Okay.
All
Any
right. Who would
don't
you
worry.
who would you pick? I feel like we might have the same player here. I'm surprised we haven't picked the same player yet for any of
Who's
these
your
teams.
position? What position did you go with for their priority?
I have two. I have a striker and a right mid.
Interesting. I have a
Well, I guess he could play anywhere in the midfield slash forward.
gotcha. I'll let you do your picks.
Okay, I think striker Victor Gyökeres would be a huge
Oh,
upgrade.
I thought we were about to have the same pick. Because my guy, his first name's Victor. But mine's Victor Osimhen.
Osimhen. Okay, I picked Gyökeres. And then my second player, I don't think we have to talk much about these players. I think they definitely need a forward, but both Victors are great. And then the other player is Cunha.
Yeah.
I think he would be a huge upgrade for Martinelli. And then now with Saka, I'm really worried for Saka. Arteta's playing it kind of cool, but dude,
Mhm.
he's getting a hamstring surgery. Does
Yeah,
not sound good, and a lot of players don't come back from that.
yeah. What is it? 8 weeks? 8 to 10 weeks?
Yeah, 8 to 10 weeks, but I mean, long-term players just don't look the same after a hamstring surgery.
Yeah, and he's still young. Um, and I was watching a video from Morlies, who appears on SDS, and he had a breakdown of like players who've had the most minutes by the age of like 24. And so Eden Hazard like topped that list with like ridiculous amount of minutes, but Saka's only 23 and he topped that amount. Um,
Already, wow.
so it was crazy. So the hamstring injury, I put a little blame on Arteta. Like I feel like he uses him like too much on him.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't really have an option either.
True.
I guess Trussard, but I
Yeah.
don't know. It's Saka, dude. It's like one of the best
Yeah.
players in the league.
So I had two more players. One player also I think they should cash out for on the left wing is Rafael Leao. Um,
Ooh, I forgot about him.
and I mean, he'll be expensive, but I don't think he'll be as expensive because I feel like he's had a fallout with the AC Milan manager
Hmm.
where he'll kind of look for a move. Um,
Dude, he's been getting booed by his own fans at times.
yeah, it's hard to see. I think the only thing is like Leao doesn't really work back defensively, whereas Martinelli
Hmm.
does. And then the last player I had, this one is because of the Saka injury. I added him last minute, but a backup who can learn from Saka, playing like the FA Cup games, not having to play Saka in those would be Nico Paz from Como. Um,
Mm,
he's only 20, so he has plenty of time to learn under Saka. But from what I've seen, he's really impressive at Como.
yeah, I could see him getting a bigger move.
hmm
All right. Now, the last one, or we'll go back to United, but next we'll go to Liverpool sitting on top.
Yeah, this one boring pick. Left back, I think cash out on Anthony Robinson, and then as a backup for Gravenberch, I don't think they need like a huge upgrade for Gravenberch, but just a backup would be Chris Rigg from Sunderland. Um,
Mm,
17-year-old who he can play in central mid like McAllister role, but also that defensive mid role. So could just
It's
go
crazy how good Gravenberch has looked, even though he's not like a
true.
true like defensive mid.
Exactly.
He's looked really good.
Ridiculous.
I went with a couple players here. I went with Kirkez because I think um Robertson can get the job done. Same with Tsimikas this year. I think those two will, be able to get it done for them. But so longer term, I think Kirkez is a very good player.
Hmm.
And I know you're a huge fan of him too, so we don't have to talk on him much, but I think long term, he's definitely like, and he's got that Liverpool like type of personality about him.
Yeah, just a flying wing. Yeah,
Hmm.
up and down that wing.
And then my other player was also, they rely so much on Salah. And I know Gakpo's kind of improved a little. Diaz, he's kind of hit or miss. And then um Nunez, I feel bad. I don't know, dude. I don't know if he's gonna work out or not. I want it to, but I don't know if it will. So I think they need another attacking option. So I went with someone who's looked really impressive and I've been a huge fan for a couple of years now is João Pedro
Oh,
from
wow.
Brighton.
I like that pick.
I think he would be an instant starter. I think he's definitely better than Diego Jota and Gakpo.
Yeah, he could play along like whatever front line and also apart
Exactly.
from
Yep.
Salah's. So, wow. I like that shout. I don't think he'd be that expensive either.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Jeez. Yeah, he'd elevate them.
All right. Yeah. Now we can move on to the most exciting one, Manchester United, where there's a lot of positions that need to be upgraded. Um, let's pick three or four positions what are the three or four most crucial positions you want to upgrade?
I think one is the left wing back.
Okay, so
Um,
that's what I had that too. Who would you?
for this one, I went with the cheaper alternative because I think that,
Oh, real quick, what are the three or four that you had?
oh,
Sorry.
sorry, a left wing back, and then the pocket like
Yep.
inverted, that position more so on the a right footer because I think Amad Diallo has the left one on lock, and then I think a striker Hoyland just has to sit back and learn from.
Okay, cool. I had basically almost the same as
Okay.
well.
And I think Amad Diallo, he can play on the right wing back as well. So it's really the inverted 10, yeah, striker and left
All
wing
right.
back.
Let's start with the inverted
Okay.
10. Who would you pick?
Um, for this one, I actually looked into Lyon and they're having money trouble, I think. So this one, Ryan Checkry.
Ah, I don't know, dude. He might be coming to Chelsea.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
But if not
Uh,
him, then I hope we go all in for Cunha.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Chekri. Cunha, okay, that's a good one. I had a lot of options here as well for the inverted
Oh,
10.
sorry, one more.
Yeah.
We got rejected by him, I think, last summer, but Xavi Simmons.
Uh see, I don't know if he'd be good in the inverted 10 though. I like him as more like the box to box type
Box to
player.
box. Oh, gotcha. Let's hear your shouts.
All right. One is uh I had Eze or João Pedro.
I'd be happy with the Pedro. Yeah.
Pedro, and then also Cunha,
Hmm.
and
I
then
hope we
one,
splurge on Cunha. Like, I'll give all my money on him.
and then one other player is also from a team that's been having some money issues, financial issues, um, and they actually might not be able to re-register this player. So from Barcelona, Dani Olmo,
Woo! Fire.
and so you guys could get him for the pretty down low cheap.
Uh-huh.
So those are my four in that position.
Jeez. I like Almo, Cunha, and Ped. Wow, those are good options.
All right, now we can go with a striker.
Striker. Um, this one, I said. And this one I try to play like money wise just because I want like three positions upgraded like in one window. So I think we either go safe and um, get Darwin Núñez from Liverpool. I think they'd sell for kind of cheap.
Ooh.
Or I think we can splurge for we just had to splurge for Gyökeres, worked under Amrin, top striker. So Hoyland has to learn from.
Yeah, I know I've been saying for a while now that you guys need to splash on Victor
Yeah, even
Gorkers, but I actually didn't have him on my list. Main reason is because he's way too expensive for y'all because
we're in
uh,
debt. I didn't
yeah,
realize. Yeah.
and y'all have like you just have so many players you need to sign. So I didn't have him. He's just too expensive for y'all. So I just went with João Pedro here.
Okay. I think that's a good pick too. Like we don't need big superstar names. Like we
Because you
just
guys are still rebuilding kind of.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd elevate right away. I like that pick.
And then the last position that you had was the left wing back role.
Yes.
Okay. I kind of had both left wing back and right wing back as needing upgrade. But you said because you'd be fine with Diallo playing right wing
Hmm.
back.
Yeah. For the time being, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see Diallo in the 10
For
type
sure.
role, but um I think Mazraoui and both him and Diallo are very limited as wing backs.
Because they're
Um
defensive like in nature.
yeah, they're just so defensive. So I think both can be upgraded. So I focused a lot on the right wing back just because both Mazraoui and Dallo are right-footed, but so maybe just I think left wing backs there's more options. So
Hmm.
we can start there and then I'll mention my right wing backs.
Okay. Um, yeah, that's a good call out. I'd be interested for your right wing backs because left wing back also we have a youngster, and I'm surprised Amarim hasn't even used him because he likes the youngsters at Sporting. So I thought Harry Amos would be getting crazy amounts of like game time
Mm.
at least in the smaller tourneys. But left wing back, I went with well, this one he's also like a defender in nature, but he kind of pushes up quite a bit. And I think we have a buyback clause on him, so he'd be kind of cheap. But Alvaro Fernandez at Benfica,
Mm.
um, he wouldn't really cost that much money, and we're kind of in financial trouble. And I think while it is a priority, I think like striker and the inverted 10 is the biggest priority where we need to cash in.
Yeah, I have someone that you could cash in on.
At the left wing back?
Yeah, but this one might be a interesting one because he's definitely more attack minded.
Hmm.
But in Amarin's system, I could see it maybe working out, kind of like Diallo is Kudus from West Ham. I know he's more of like a forward player, but I could really see him in the wing back role under Amarin.
Really? That's an interesting shout.
And then the reason I like him is because I think he's just like Diallo.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean he's more proven for sure. But like he can play the wing back role like Diallo, but then he can also, I think, play the 10,
I would actually prefer him at the 10.
the 10.
Yeah. But I would like him at, yeah, that's a good shout.
Um, he's the only one and then the other one was just kind of Anthony Robinson.
Mm, gotcha.
He'd be a true wing back.
Yeah.
And then my right wing back, I think this is a player that deserves an upgrade the team, and I think you guys should get him before he gets too expensive. Right wing back, I think Frimpong.
Ooh, from Leverkusen.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be a nice pickup. Because, I mean, they almost use him as like a right winger at Leverkusen already, anyways.
exactly. And then just like he can also play kind of in the midfield too if needed.
Yeah, he definitely has technical capabilities. Um, who would you say, because we are like in financial trouble slightly, or if we could only make like one or two position signings, which two would you say make it like the priority for the January or summer window,
I think wing back rules.
the wingbacks?
Yeah, I think Amarin's system, like those guys being defensive minded, is not good. There's been so many times where like Bruno turns, gets the ball, but like he doesn't, his wing backs aren't there, so he has no one to pass to.
Hmm.
Center backs are looking to go long, but Dallo and Mazarawi's just kind of staying back. They need to make those darting runs.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I think striker and inverted 10 just because Bruno, it's not that I want Bruno replaced, but he is also getting there in age.
Mm,
Um, and he's such a key player for us. I feel like if we don't have an inverted 10 to eventually replace him, then we'll be in trouble. But I think, yeah, wing backs, we need offensive minded people.
hmm Yeah, it limits y'all a lot. Like there's some build up plays where see like y'all midfielders kind of hold the ball and then the only option they have is kind of just go back or
Mhm.
try to just send Hoyland up forward.
Yeah, I think wing backs are crucial for his system. So thanks for listening to another episode of Super Subs podcast. This one we try to keep the transfers realistic, kind of signings that teams should make for the January or summer transfer window with the season being half over. So with that, this has been another episode. Until next time, peace out.